Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your home for artisanal and organic Bible study. It's free of MSG and GMOs. This is responsibly handled and locally sourced, so you can be sure it's good for you. Today we're looking at Psalm 84, verses 9 and 10. It's the first half of the third section of this wonderful little psalm. And we have some very familiar language again today, so let me just jump right in here and read for you verses 9 and 10. Behold, O God, our shield, and look upon the face of thine anointed. For a day in thy courts is better than 1,000. I had rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. Again, we have, as I said, familiar language in verse 10. We'll get there in just a moment. But first, verse 9, Behold, O God, our shield. Well, that sounds very familiar, doesn't it? This is Davidic language, if ever we've heard it. David often talked about the Lord as his shield, his great reward, his high tower. So we're not surprised to see this in the Psalms, but this is coming from the sons of Korah, and we may be a little surprised that we have it in their language, but with this, we understand the imagery. Behold, O God, our shield, and then we have the next phrase, look upon the face of thine anointed. No doubt the psalmist here is talking about the people that he's been mentioning, those that are in the courts, those that are, blessed because they have God as their strength. They go from strength to strength. They stand in Zion and are before the face of the Lord. But I think we also must recognize that we have here an allusion to Messiah, the face of thine anointed. So anytime we have that kind of language, we immediately need to look to Messiah, because that kind of language has been used over and over again in the Psalms to refer to Messiah. So we have it again here, and we nod to the fact that this is messianic. Look upon the face of thine anointed. And so with that being said, then we understand, O God, our shield, as a prayer for protection for Messiah. Verse 10, For a day in thy courts is better than 1,000. Now wait a minute, didn't we start out with courts in the first part of the psalm? Oh yeah. Yeah, we were talking about longing for, right, the courts of the Lord, the tabernacles. My soul longeth, yea, even fainteth for the courts. Well, there it is. The courts are mentioned there in verse 1. So now here in verse 10, a day in your courts is better than 1,000. I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God. Now, the psalmist, of course, being a member of the sons of Korah, he understood this whole idea of doorkeeping, because there were Levites that did just that. And he would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of God than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. Well, that's a good thing to say, right? Because we understand tents of wickedness. That's not a place you want to be compared to the tabernacle of the Lord. So you have quite a contrast there. I'd rather be doing the least thing in the house of God as to be in the tabernacles of wickedness. Again, this reminds me of the Ascent Psalms. In Psalm 120, we start out in the tents of Kedar, and that's a long ways off. And those are black tents. Those are tents of wickedness. So we're going from there, and we're moving up to the Lord, to Zion, to see Him, to be there in His presence. So we have the very language of the Kohathites here in this 10th verse. It's wonderful. All right, tomorrow we'll take up verses 11 and 12 on Daily Dose Radio. Hey there, friends. Just wanted to remind you to go out and get yourself a copy of my new book, Christianity to the Life, by Cotton Mather, edited by me, David Smith. You can find it at Amazon. It's a paperback. It's also in Kindle form, so you can get it for your Kindle or you can get it for your library at home, however you'd like to have it. If you do, I really would appreciate if you would write a review after reading it. Let me know what you think. And it's a really good book. It'll encourage your Christian walk with the Lord. So go out and get Christianity to the Life today on Amazon. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.